Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
That's right, it's all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, finance, so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to get involved. You can follow the hashtag above or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey at Vision Mortgage.
Now, you probably remember Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team, but now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
You may have seen Skip on HGTV's House Hunters, and he's top of the 2% of the producing real estate agents in the nation.
He got it.
Yeah.
He got it.
Yeah,
he got it. Well, here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We got a fantastic show today. Chris Doherty of Agra Greenhouse.com, a local business here in town. He's going to walk us through some of the ins and outs of running a business in Albuquerque, why Albuquerque, and some of the pros and cons about our city.
Yeah, a very fascinating story about the guy. He's has an unlikely grow house, right? So I think sometimes the stereotype is that Albuquerque could be so brown, but you visit his business, it actually looks like you open the doors of Holland. Right? It's a pretty flowers.
And you get wooden shoes.
Yeah. Tulips.
In the first segment, Grant's going to give us the Mortgage Minute, a little breakdown. We're going to talk about my new crispy boys here. And then stay tuned to the end of the show for everybody's favorite. It's time for Skip's Tips. So Grant, tell me, you had a wild weekend this weekend, dude. And every time you bust out one of these stories, I kind of look at you like you're not being serious.
Yeah. So our stories have varied ever since you become a settled down man. My stories have just gotten more insane. So I went out to Tempe, Arizona, and we were going to the ASU hockey game, right? So I'm the general manager. I have a reduced role. I'm not the coach anymore. So on our way to Tempe, we pulled off on a rest stop, and I see this dog that's, I'm a slave for animals, right? So I see this dog, and she's pregnant, and we spent about an hour and a half. I feed her all the sandwiches I've made.
Wait, are you in the middle of a town? Is
this
on the freeway?
Snowing. It's near Gallup.
In the middle of the night?
Yeah, it's about 3 p.m.
Okay.
So we try to rescue the dog. I'm doing everything. I'm bringing sun chips just closer and closer to the car, trying to bring her in and she's not having it. So it took an hour and a half. Moral story is I fed the dog a lot. Dog didn't jump in the car like I hoped. So now we're already at a big delay, right? So now we take the shortcut to Tempe. We go through Payson. So I pull off because we have to use the bathroom, right? And so now the car won't leave the snow, and it's a 4-wheel drive, and so now we have to have the state.
Wait, what car were you in?
I was in a Lexus SUV.
Okay, Lexus SUV.
I don't want to diss the brand. It's just that I pulled over too far. State cops pull us backwards, takes an hour and a half. So yeah, it's good to have adventures at the beginning of your trip rather than on the way back.
Oh, when everybody's moody, tired.
Yeah, everyone's punching each other in the face because all the sun chips are all over the ground like we crunch in.
There's no dog to kick.
So yeah, I mean, and actually the Lobos lost too. So
yeah, so
the
all in all, pretty good weekend.
The silver lining is we lost both games. So tell me about your weekend. White shoes.
Look, I didn't want to brag. Thank you for bringing these up, but I figured
we can't help it though. They're just they might as well be a neon.
They're
orange.
iridescent. If we could get it, you don't have to zoom in, but I mean, I'm sure it's warming up your living room right now.
What are
Crispy
you, rich?
Boys. So these are the New Balance. Now they're not the typical, dad New Balances where it looks like a fishing boat, right? Super wide.
No, these are the LeBron James.
Yeah, the bronze balance. Anyways, I found them. I got 2 pairs. Look, I'm not bragging, but we're doing okay this year, so I figured I'm worth it.
Yeah, someone's having a good year. I'm just stuck with these red things.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald called.
All right, we're going to start doing okay.
Yeah. But here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Again, Chris Doherty is going to stop by and talk a little bit about the greenhouse, but so many times in our industry, Grant, I know there's a lot of things to know about, whether it's financing, buying homes, what's the market up to, and that's why we're going to jump into the Mortgage Minute, where you can give us some tips and tricks on kind of what to expect here in the mortgage game.
So let's cue it up. Time for our
Mortgage Minute.
So today I want to talk about mattress money. Grant, what the heck are you talking about? What's mattress money? I'll tell you, anything that you don't put in the bank is what in the industry we call mattress money. So if you have a down payment, closing costs, if you have a fund or sourcing for money, we actually have to see it in the bank. And I say we, underwriters, mortgage lenders. So what's important for everyone to understand is I get it. You want to sock it away in the desk, the sock drawer, and you want to hide it underneath the mattress. This is where mattress money comes from, the term. We actually need it to be in your account in season for 60 days. And I'll tell you a story that seems, it's actually a funny one. I had a client who had $80,000 in pirate gold money that her 4 generations passed down her in a treasure chest, right? And I go, this is amazing. I go, so hey, have you deposited? And she goes, no, I'm gonna just present the treasure money. And I go, I get it, but you have to actually have it documented and process into money. So I actually don't know what her intent was, if she was just gonna show up with a treasure chest, but there's an example of mattress money. So I get it, you guys wanna put money away on the side, but actually put it in a bank account if you want the underwriters to consider it a viable source of money. So that's my Mortgage Minute. If some of you are fortunate enough to have pirate treasure, please make sure you make it into U.S. currency. That's your Mortgage Minute.
That's fascinating, man. I always love to see what goes on behind the scenes. You know, I work in the real estate business on the sales side, but so many times we have to defer to the mortgage expert to figure out, is this deal even viable? And so many different times you hear stories of mattress money or trying to buy a house with an IOU, just crazy stuff like that. And so I think that's great, and I think you bring a lot of value to the show and just talking about these certain things to avoid, when it comes to transactions.
I know a lot of people come from the school of mind of like, hey, it's none of anyone's business where the money comes from, and I get it. But there's banking institutions that are lending you money, and they have their own rules. So I guess if you find enough pirate treasure, didn't buy your own house with the gold, but other than that, you have to actually comply by the bank's rules.
Yeah, you could use your pirate's gold to buy some crispy
Or unless you
boy.
have $100,000 in your hand.
2 pair, not bragging. Stay tuned to the end of the show. We're going to dive into a little hidden gem that I found in Albuquerque on the west side. And I think it's going to solve a lot of problems for a lot of families locally, but also if you're relocating to Albuquerque. Stay tuned to the last part of the segment where we get into Skip's Tips. Up next, we have our first guest. Let's stay tuned.
Hi, we're back.
Hey, it's a crispy boy hour. UABQ. So here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We have, first of all, we always have the best guests in town. And the goal of the show is to highlight industry experts that are talking about local business. Mm-hmm. And I know our next guest, you guys have a cool background doing the Kappa Sig thing at UNM.
Yeah, so let's talk about the fraternity brother stigma. Most of it's true, but in this case, I have a really impressive buddy here who has done big things in Albuquerque, an Albuquerque resident, St. Pius graduate, UNM graduate, Kappa Sig, and then is now part of the market commerce for his grow house for gardening.
So let's welcome Chris Doherty to the show. And what is it? AgraGreenhouse.com.
Agra Greenhouse is, yes, Skip.
Well, when Grant goes there, it's Agro Greenhouse.
I am pretty aggro.
Flip over tables.
Just start punching out.
What do you mean you're out of chili pods?
Yeah, don't make me angry. Show me my plants. Chipper's been and I say Chipper. Okay, so this is his name to me, Chipper Doherty. But I've become a gardener because of him. And it started off with a casual, getting a couple plants, and then to where I've dedicated a whole gardening box in another row, just based on how much I became a gardening addict, right? So a lot of things to be ashamed of being an addict. I'm not ashamed of being a gardening addict. But he's actually landed me. Let's talk about this. A first place prize at the state fair for Armenian cucumbers. So
look.
I owe it all to him.
Bringing the ribbon home, Grant. Bringing the ribbon home.
Okay, that was a wild intro. So let's dial it in a little bit. Chris, give us a little bit of your background. Now, I know you came out from Florida, which is a very tropical place. Landed here in '88 in the desert. Talk a little bit about your backstory and how on earth did you end up in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Yes, Skip, thank you. And Grant, thank you for having me on. Back in 1988, the family decided we needed a new opportunity. And with the relationships that my mom and dad had down there, it afforded us the chance to bring out tropical foliage that wouldn't otherwise be out to the desert that we know as Albuquerque. And so we purchased 2 used greenhouses that we erected ourselves. Agra is family owned and operated, has always been and always will be. So we take pride in that first and foremost. But we would actually trailer truck these tropical plants from Florida out to Albuquerque, and we would deliver them to florist shops and grocery stores throughout the greater part of Albuquerque.
I was going to say, because when you're talking about bringing out tropical foliage, the same thing that, for the same reason we don't have tropical foliage here, you would think it's a horrible investment to bring it out. And if I was going to plant it in my backyard, it would last for like 2 days until it freezes and dies. So to know that you were doing it commercially, it makes way more sense.
Yes, in fact, we take it for granted when we walk into our banks and just certain business offices, and you have this greenery in the background. Mm-hmm. It's kind of one of those things where you don't even notice it. But it is color, it is good for the air, and it's aesthetically pleasing. So there again, that's what started Agra almost 34 years ago.
So Agra's located down in the South Valley, and it's on a nice spread. In fact, we got some great B-roll of some of the greenhouses, and you can kind of see a little bit before and after, right? So before the plants have come into full sprout, and then afterwards, towards the end of the season, when you see, this just green from wall to wall.
It is really cool. So the beginning of our season, it's just the infancy of the plants, the seedlings, the starts. And you're right, it's a lot more dirt than it is greenery. And then as the plants mature, the foliage does as well. And then the flowers develop shortly thereafter.
So we're looking at on the screen right now, you have, this is one of your facilities on site. And, Grant would always talk about this facility. Like, you actually have to go see it.
Without trying to sound dramatic, it's absolutely beautiful when you go through each greenhouse. There's just rows and rows and rows of flourishing plants. And so then, obviously, the greedy side of me going, I can't pick one. There's so many things to plant. I think that his grow house gives your average or beginner novice gardener some hope about actually making something flourish. That's what I love about walking in there, because you think, wait, all of this is possible, and it is, because Chris will show me and go, and these are perfect for this much sunlight and this much water. So I was astonished, and every year I come in there, I'm so pumped to go walk through the doors again.
Well, I appreciate that. And let me just tell you truthfully, you're not the only person who comes with big googly eyes. Everyone walks in and says, I want 2 or 3 of everything. When in all actuality, we don't have the space for everything that you see. But it is a labor of love. It's something that people truly enjoy, whether it's before or after work, doing it with their family. And at the end of the day, you get to reap the rewards of fresh, grown produce that you got from your own backyard.
One thing I thought was fascinating is how it was a learning process transitioning from growing plants in Florida year-round, piece of cake, to coming to a seasonal place like Albuquerque and trying to figure out the ins and outs of business and expenses of running the heat and the AC and trying to do it year-round to make sure these plants thrive. And so you guys adapted. Tell us about that.
Great point. And I think transitioning your business is all about surviving the industry. And so we learned that by being open year-round, that we were paying to cool the greenhouses during the summertime, then also paying to heat the greenhouses during the wintertime. And literally there went our profits. So after, let's just say 10, 12 years of learning the hard way, we found that operating seasonally was our most profitable. And that actually gave us time during the summer to enjoy time with the family, which ultimately I think is everyone's first and foremost priority.
Well, when you talk about family, one thing that I think resonates with people here in Albuquerque is that you hire seasonal employees to come, spring has their spring season for the same employees, but you keep it close, you keep a close-knit group of employees that come in. And I think that speaks volumes to the family-run business, is that people can know that they have a job here locally, and you're giving back to the community.
And we were talking to Chris earlier, and he said you have employees that have been there for 15 years, right? That speaks volumes for their loyalty and allegiance to your place.
Oh, I couldn't, and I think my whole family speaks with me when we say we couldn't have done it without them for all these years. Yeah. And quite honestly, they are family that we choose.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
And I think let's be honest about how long people stick with anyone, right? Workforce, corporations, it's very rare that you hear anyone stick with any place for a couple years.
No, you wouldn't.
It just speaks volumes for how they regard you and like what you supply them, and mutually beneficial, right? Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I think they feel that feeling of gratification at the end of the day too. When those customers have come back year in and year out and are looking forward to seeing them,
yeah,
or are looking forward to telling them their story, like yours in the State Fair ribbon. I mean, yours was the best one this year, but it wasn't the first ribbon we've brought home.
There's been others,
I've got to win 10 times. Yeah, but yes, it's an awesome story.
Well, to be honest, Agra's been involved with 4-H for some years now, and we'll even have a day dedicated to the local 4-H, to where we'll give them the proceeds. So I bring that up because we try to encourage the younger farmers, because as we all know, farming is a dying industry.
Right.
So that's where I think the family-owned and operated concept comes in.
Yeah.
And we do have multiple generations of people bringing in their family. In fact, I've been doing this, whether I've liked it or not, since I was 9. And so our customers have seen me grow up. My customers have seen my children grow up. If you were to walk into our greenhouses this season, you could see 4 generations of my family just out there working, socializing, just being part of it.
That's wonderful. I think there's an aspect to having a for-profit and then also being part of the community, because that's a culture. So you could say, hey, we have this business, but we also want to give back, and we want to supply the city, and we want to supply the culture and be involved. And so when you get back to the 4-H, like that's very telling about where your heart's at.
I couldn't agree with you more. And besides the 4-H, it's also local schools.
Yeah.
There's a lot of our local schools here that have community gardens.
Yeah.
We have donated and will donate to those local schools at every opportunity. And it's not for recognition, but it's to get those kids involved.
I would tell us the variety, and it may be hard for you to go pick from here, A to Z, but like tell us the kind of plants that you grow there, and actually inform the people out there what is actually possible. Because I was surprised when I went in your grow house what I could actually grow, and when you listed all these, we could grow that here. And absolutely, give maybe some of the viewers a list of things that you would seem unlikely that you can grow in New Mexico.
Well, I'll start the season off with how the customers would approach our greenhouses. And typically it's flowers first, vegetables second. Okay. Flowers can handle a little bit more of the cold, so they'll be the first ones that the consumers will want to get in their yards. We're known for our roses, our geraniums. We're known for a lot of our container items that homeowners and consumers would create their flower pots and flower beds. And then when it comes to our vegetables, and then take it back a step, we offer first-year perennials. So a perennial that would be in a 1-gallon container. Yep. Something on the smaller side, it's maybe 2 or 3 years old, but that'll go into your xeriscape yard. Drought tolerant, things that will handle these zones, this zone.
Yeah.
And then when Mother Nature says it's time to plant, which is typically after the last freeze, which is right around Mother's Day, that's when we gear up for our vegetables. Okay. And we are actually known for our vegetables. Yep. And it's not supplying the fruit to the consumers, it's the vegetable starts, the plants themselves, to where you as the consumer can go home and create your own garden to enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Besides that, we also offer our vegetable starts to farmers that in colder areas of the state that might have a shorter growing season opens up the opportunity to reap the benefits of a more mature plant.
Yeah, so one thing I want to mention when I went into Chris's grow house is I actually got to grow an eggplant. I absolutely didn't know you could grow an eggplant in New Mexico, right? And so maybe I have such maybe a fear of what the soil does here, but I thought that was impressive. I could grow strawberries. I could grow, list some vegetables that you probably, maybe bell peppers.
Well, what are we known for here? Let's talk about
we're known for
red chili.
We're known for our chilies. You can't go wrong. And we probably offer about a dozen varieties of green chilies.
Yes.
Our most popular
Sandia
one.
Hot's my favorite.
That would be our most popular one.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think it would be the most popular throughout the state.
Yeah.
The Sandia Hot. But
It's,
we also
it's
offer,
wonderful. Skip can't handle it, so he has to eat the cherry tomatoes. But we're graduating him to chili.
we could give Skip some Big Jim.
I guarantee you I could eat more.
Yeah, you know what we're gonna do? I grew ghost peppers.
I could eat a ghost pepper,
2 years ago.
100%,
We're gonna
no water.
actually do this on the freaking show. We're gonna
Okay,
do this.
you bring
We're-
me back, and then we'll have another
we
ghost
did a
pepper
hot chip
session.
challenge, and he cried, and so did I. But he
Let's go back to the tape.
Yeah,
Insert
let's
a clip right
put
here.
the hot chip challenge up there and see who cried more. But yeah, I mean that's the ghost peppers. Let's talk about ghost peppers.
So, as a matter of fact, we offer ghost pepper, scorpion, Carolina Reaper, which some of the more novel, hotter ones
Right.
out.
Did you grow Reaper or just Ghost? What's
I do them all. I did
did
Carolina. I did Carolina, and I did ghost pepper. The ghost peppers are a menacing plant. When they're ripe, they already look like they'll kill you. So anyone in
not an
like
attractive
cavemen
pepper.
or whoever first ate them, that was their fault. They look like they'll kill you.
Yes.
They're absolutely hot. I would probably do 1/8 of my eggs, and it was still like killed me. I loved them though. They're a pretty plant. But,
Yes.
Yeah.
We also offer bell peppers.
Yeah.
We also
Grew
offer
those too. Pink.
the small lunchbox colored peppers.
Okay.
But another thing you wouldn't think about, which is a beautiful plant, is the artichoke plant.
I had no idea you had artichokes available.
not only are they,
I will never go to Smith's again now. Right.
but they're also perennial in this zone, so
Yeah.
they're going to come back every year.
Is that right?
Yes, they are. And for those that don't actually pluck the fruit to enjoy the fruit, the flower is absolutely unbelievable.
Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Let the fruit grow out to flower one year, and you'll be amazed by the flower on the
Do you have the
artichoke plant.
patience for that?
I probably just eat it with all my Carolina Reapers.
Yeah, just chocolate, just acorn mouth.
Just chipmunk cheeks. Gotta stock up for the winter.
I actually want to set this up now. Could we do somehow? How could
Let's
we?
do a chili tasting.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
End of the season.
Now, can we dive into what you might be participating later?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I think
let's
that
talk
would be
about
a
that.
second session.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. So one of the booming economies just to the north of Albuquerque has been, Denver and Colorado, and there's been some legislation passed that allow for recreational cannabis. And lo and behold, New Mexico's jumping on the train, right? So it's not uncommon to hear people talking about recreational cannabis, where our state's headed, what are the ins and outs and the rules for getting started. And I know working in agriculture, there has to be some sort of rumor mill going around in your business.
Well, the rumor bill isn't really a rumor anymore. It's everyone jumped on the train.
Yeah.
People that had never gotten their hands dirty before decided they were going to be a cannabis farmer.
Sure.
And what that did is that just overwhelmed and flooded the market.
With product, you mean?
With product and with people that didn't really know what they were doing.
Sure.
And let me. Do you think is there an elitist party that goes, look, guys, here's what the pros do, right? Do you have any of that?
Well, I think there's that in any industry.
Yeah.
But there's also doing something and then doing it right.
Yeah.
And this is a consumable product. So corners can't be cut.
Yeah.
Testing requirements are needed and mandated. And at the end of the day, I think the people that had the background can ride out this storm and will be existing in 2 to 3 years from now.
Okay.
But as it is right now, yeah, it's a little overwhelming.
Would you talk a little bit, and if you know the ins and outs of kind of the rules for licensing to get, A, grow it, but B, distribute. I know we had medical marijuana here for a long time, and you were allowed to have a certain amount of plants in your house. And
We were, and if you were a card holder, that allowed you to have 12 plants
Okay.
at any one time, 4 being in the flowering stage.
Okay.
During the infancy of the medicinal program, We started off with a good 15 dispensaries, and it jumped up to maybe 24. But for the longest time, it was just that elite few that were able to get that license.
That backroom license almost.
That was, and let's just say they're kind of grandfather claused in as being like a cornerstone, whether we like to agree or not.
Sure.
And that's what we're finding out now, who have the, how can I say it, the ability to withstand this storm.
Yeah, a little wherewithal, yeah.
Well, I think you'll see it too in other markets. You know, there's a learning curve that goes into it, right? What do we do with the money? Is it a cash business? So there's a lot of ins and outs and pitfalls. So I think that's a topic for another show, and you know, we're happy to get your input on that, because I think so many things about Albuquerque, like, you know, the new cannabis laws and you know, just the ability to, you know, grow your own produce here, sunny 300 days a year. So so it's just been fascinating to hear your story of a family business. You are everything that is UABQ. Chris, and we appreciate you coming on the show today and dropping some knowledge.
Shout out to, he's the St. Pius graduate, right? So he's been here for a while. We'll have a future guest that employ that soccer player, right? So this guy stayed here, and a big thank you for growing our economy. You're a big player here, so thanks.
Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Skip.
You got it. So coming up in the next segment, we're going to touch a little bit on my crispy boys again. I know you guys wanted to get a closer look at those, but stay tuned for everybody's favorite part of the show. It's time for Skip's Tips. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to UABQ. Man, what a great segment we had there. I want to present to you the much anticipated, never duplicated, never emancipated Skip's Tips.
Yeah, so, okay, this week we're a little emancipated. Welcome to Skip's Tips. Skip's Tips are anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real life or real estate. And I have to tell you, I had a mind-altering experience. Well, actually, let's not say that. I had a fantastic experience this time. I explored a facility on the west side of town I wasn't aware of, but now that I have a one-year-old daughter, it's one of those things you're trying to figure out, what can I do with kids to help entertain them, get them outside, but also get them interacting with other kids. And so it's a question that we get a lot of time from people that are relocating to Albuquerque is, are there day camps? What do we do with the kids during summer? So I found this place on the west side of town. Actually, it's right next to Grant's house. It's Jungle Jam. And let me tell you a little bit about Jungle Jam. Here it is. That was it, Jungle Jam. Oh, that's Skip's Tips. On the inside of Jungle Jam, there's various places you can take your kids. And the cool thing is you can throw them into the airbag, go on trampolines, you can slam dunk basketballs. But think about this. For $20, you get to go in there and let your kids run around, run some energy out for about a couple of hours. Now, again, make sure you bring hand sanitizer because everyone leaves there getting sick. But just a fun experience overall to watch them experience, or just to watch them get to interact with other kids, big kids, little kids. Couple of pro tips for you. Number one, make sure you schedule your time in advance. The last thing you want to do is go on a Saturday when there's a million kids there. What you want to do is, we had the best luck going like mid-afternoon during the week. We had the place to ourselves. So just a fun opportunity. Oh, those crispy boys! Oh, ew, so crispy. So again, anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or lets us have some fun in real estate or real life. I want to introduce you guys again to a playground on the west side, Jungle Jam, and that's this week's Skip's Tips.
I'm back.
Hey.
Now, let's talk about Skip's Tips, and he left out the footage where Skip dunked his baby into the hoop. Yeah. And it was frowned upon about the institution, right? Jungle Jim doesn't like you dunking your babies in hoops, but this is why I don't have any kids. I thought it was great footage.
Let's do this. Let's put on UABQ, and we'll finish up with this segment now. So Skip's Tips, dude. What'd you
I'm back. No, I thought it was great. I actually I feel bad that they edited the part where you were dunking your baby into the hoop.
You can actually palm them by the head, and it's like kind of a bicep workout as well.
Yeah, it's a shame they have to turn 3. because then you can't dunk your babies anymore.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Governor Lujan.
I'm actually, yeah, good. I actually was going to bring my Pomeranians in there, and they frowned upon that group. But my Pomeranians do have a tendency of ganging up on.
But you know what's funny? I never knew this facility was there. It's actually right by your house. It's the old, and I'll tell you this, it's the old Spirit Halloween warehouse that's right there by the Dead movie theater.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
anyways,
that's nice.
so that's skips it. But people always ask, what do you have to do for kids? And there you go. We're solving problems on the show. Just talking about everything UABQ. So great episode today, Grant. Good job.
We had a good show. I loved our guests. I think that every time we do this show, it's fun because I get to actually talk to great people and my friends, and kind of hoist them, right? So.
Good. So if you have any questions, if you guys want to be a part of the UABQ community, again, we invite you to get involved by reach out using the hashtag right here. It's UABQ, or join our email list to get some timely tips about.
Yeah, if you think we're missing out on a guest that everyone needs to know about, hit us up. I would love to have them on there. We're all about promoting the city and influential leaders and people good for the economy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Again, this is all about you, ABQ.